Live from the Jersey Shore to the world. Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Hey, welcome back. 7:09, Tuesday, July 19th, 72 degrees. Get up to 88 today. WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. News Talk Radio. Streaming live on the Radio Pup app and WOBMAM.com. 732-505-1160 to join the conversation. You know, sometimes, we take for granted the amazing things that we have around us. I'm going to give you an example. Number one, I have never been to the Statue of Liberty. Right now, people come from foreign countries. They come from far and wide to see the Statue of Liberty. I've lived within an hour of it my whole life and never gone. Right? And so I want to turn over a new leaf. I want to appreciate the things that are around, and I want to really get to know them better and to learn what makes them tick. And so, to that end, we welcome into the studio Kevin Williams, icon of Jersey Shore Radio. Good morning, Kevin.
I am the Statue of Liberty of Tom's River. That is correct.
You are. I don't even know where to go with that. Kevin, I find you to be. Listen, I don't want to make you feel older, but I listened to you when I was a kid. I mean, you were a part of my childhood. You've been a part of Ocean County and the Jersey Shore for so long. Why don't you tell folks, first of all, how long you been doing this now? Did I see it was like your 37-year anniversary?
Next week will be 37 years here at WOBM.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
37.
What a failure, huh?
No, that's great. You started when I was 5. So why don't you tell me, first of all, when did you decide that you knew that you wanted to get into radio, that you wanted to do, be in entertainment or that kind of thing?
Well, I don't know if it was as much radio, but I grew up an absolute diehard sports fan. One of those who could not get enough of sports in any capacity. And of course, we're certainly talking about before the internet and cable TV. For my 11th birthday, one of my presents was a subscription to Sports Illustrated magazine. I've now had that subscription for 49 years.
Right.
And although I have to pay for it now. But I remember when that magazine would come on Friday, and we would get it in the mail on Friday. By Sunday, I had read every word in the magazine.
Right.
And living in Seaside Heights and going to Central Regional High School, which is a pretty good bus ride every day, we used to play sports trivia on the bus, and like all the guys, the jocks would try and stump me, and rarely did they ever. So I had this, always had this passion for sports. It's one of those deals, Jeremy. I realized I couldn't play it, but I wanted to stay in it. And it sort of led me to wanting to be in sports in some way, and through some left turns and right turns, ended up in sports broadcasting, which was the crux of what I did early in my career, and it's branched out a little bit over those 37 years.
Well, wait a second. We're not letting you go on the left turns and right turns. Right, well, that's the key to the whole thing here. So come on.
I would be the guy that you wouldn't want to say. I am the all-time don't do what I did, do what I say. Graduated from Central Regional High School, went to Ocean County College. You're very familiar with the college. Yep. You know it's a 2-year school. So in my 5th year there, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And the president of the college at that time, a guy named Andrew Moreland, sort of steered me in the direction. I was the public address announcer for the OCC basketball team. I was the sports editor for the Viking News.
Right.
And he sort of said, all I hear about you is you talk about sports. Why don't you do that? I was not a good student at all. I finally got my OCC degree, an honorary degree, actually, in 2008, believe it or not. I ended up going to a broadcasting school in Philadelphia. Long since closed, as are 99% of broadcasting schools. I would not recommend that for anyone except for me. Right place, right time. Had to spend my own money, borrow $3,000 to go to school. Lived with a friend in Warminster, Pennsylvania. Went to school in Philly every day, and really sort of learned a little bit later on. At that time, I was a little bit older and wiser. I can't really blow this one. Right. And I took it real serious, and I started actually working in radio before I finished up the school there, was commuting back and forth every day from Seaside to Pennsylvania, and then working in radio at another station, a couple of newscasts a day, and ended up here in July of 1979. I thought it was a pit stop on my way to ESPN.
Right.
That didn't happen.
Did you ever try that though?
I did early, and I actually had, I'll say, a couple of close calls with ESPN. I wouldn't call it close, but I got somewhere. Channel 6 in Philadelphia, I got somewhere. And then I got to that point, and you know this, all of a sudden now you have kids in your life.
Yeah.
And you have a lifestyle that, while crazy, you love it. I love the Jersey Shore.
Right.
And I've known people who've worked in the business who commuted to New York and did that whole thing. And I just said, I don't know that I want to do that. And I'll be honest with you, the last time I did my resume, I believe, was 21 years ago.
Right. Well, and that I was going to say that because I don't think folks realize, we joke about it occasionally, but you're out so many times. You're out probably twice a week doing some kind of event or something, if not more. Right, during certain seasons.
As you well know, because you're out 4 times a week.
but then the next morning you are back here. What you get here? What, like 4 in the morning?
A little before 4, yeah.
Yeah, I mean you have to love it, right? To put in that kind of time.
Listen, I don't know if I would use the word love anymore because the industry has changed, and as you get older, it's a little bit different. I mean, I'm at an age, truthfully, most of my contemporaries are retired.
Right.
Most of my buddies were either teachers or in law enforcement, and they're on second careers or no careers. And I think I probably work harder now than I have at any point in my life. But the alarm doesn't kill me. I don't mind coming to work. I love the energy, and what you've learned probably is there's nothing like live radio.
Right.
I mean, you can't script it. You can, but you can't. It comes with things that make you laugh and smile, and so I don't know if I'd say I love it as much as I did, but I do really like what I do for the most part.
Well, and so just to go back for 1 second, just so we're clear. You could joke about OCC. You still got way farther than I ever did in my college career. So first of all, I'm a big supporter of Ocean County College. The opportunities it's provided for kids is just unbelievable, and it allows you to grow up, and it also allows you to grow up without your family going broke. But one of my real thrills was in 2008. My son graduated from Penn State University, and 2 weeks later, he came to my graduation, cap and gown on the stage where Dr. Larson presented me with an honorary degree, and I got to speak at the commencement. And I will tell you, that was a real thrill. I said it was because of all the money I had spent in tuition over the years. That's cool.
But great place, OCC.
So I would like to, when we come back, right, I'd like to hear maybe 1 or 2 of your favorite kind of experiences in high school sports, because I know, look, all the other stuff you've done, I think you've been kind of the voice of high school sports. What you do now, the Shore Sports Network and everything like that is so important to our local sports scene. And I know you've seen some great ones pass through here, so I'd like to hear maybe some of those stories, because I know we could probably fill up the next 6 hours easily with stories that you have, and then we would be able to start a 5-volume series after that. So Kevin Williams, I don't have to give him any more introduction. We'll be back right after this.
Get more Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin at our website, WOBMAM.com. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Connect with Jeremy, 732-505-1160. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAM.com.
Welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We are joined by the one, the only, the Statue of Liberty of Ocean County, Kevin Williams. So Kevin, give me a story. Give me 1, give me 2 that of what you're like, what stands out in your mind.
Truthfully, Jeremy, the thing for me is when I started here and as the sports guy, I was 23 years old. So the athletes I was covering were only 6 or 7 years younger than me.
Right.
So I got, especially in the early years, I built tremendous relationships with some of the athletes. I give you an example of an Al Leiter, who, of course, almost everyone knows who Al Leiter is or was a great pitcher, baseball pitcher, now a broadcaster. Central Regional guy, which is my alma mater. I was there the day he struck out 32 batters in 13 innings. I used to do a Monday night sports show at that time on our other WOBM station, and he was a frequent guest on the show in high school. He was our athlete of the year when he was a senior. I have a picture of me giving him a trophy in the lobby of our old building in Bayville. And then you see what happens to him. Jim Dad Dowd, same story, covered him in high school. Todd Durkin, who just finished up on the the fitness show that was on TV, who's a brick guy. For me, it's about these guys that I knew and covered who have now gone on not only to be successful, but like they have kids and in some cases grandkids. So it's relationships over 37 years that you can't put a dollar figure on. They're worth $1 million to me.
Right. That's awesome. Tell me about the network. So tell me about what was the genesis of this, kind of what made you want to do it? Go ahead.
In the Reader's Digest version, we had a website, shoresportsnetwork.com, that we used strictly to promote stuff that we did on the air. We did high school football and stuff like that. So it was like a promotional tool. When Town Square bought this division that we now work under several years ago, they said that website has to become something. We've got to take it to the next generation. It's not sitting there. It has to be a content website. Like you promote, go on the website. People can listen to your shows and stuff like that. This site has to have a reality behind it. So what we did under my leadership was we purchased a company called All Shore Media, which had a website and a newspaper, and brought them into our fold under the Shore Sports Network banner. So now we have this amazing group of assets. We have our website, which has got daily content, especially during the high school season from September to June. We have a print publication that we put out twice a month called the Shore Sports Network Journal, which is available at all Super Wawas and Jersey Mike's in Monmouth and Ocean County. And we still have the broadcasting things. For example, starting on the first or second Friday of September, right here on this station, we'll be doing Friday Night Football every week. We do a game of the week. So we've sort of bundled all of that, and my focus shifted to that, although I still have my hands in too many other things. The whole idea is community, Town Square. High school sports still has that. We cover 47 schools in the Shore Conference, from Matawan to Pinelands Regional. It's a big area, but I still have a passion for it. I still admit, I'll tell you that I'm not embarrassed to say I love going to a high school football game on Friday night. I get goosebumps when the band plays, the good bands.
Right.
And, it's just still something about it. And I think as long as I have that enthusiasm, I'll continue to do it. But there probably will become a day when, I'll lose that, and then I'll know it's time to move on.
Do you ever go somewhere in Ocean County where people don't know you?
Yeah, I do. Come on. I mean, you kid around because I come in when you have guests who a lot of them who I know, but there's a lot of them I don't know. Radio is, let's be honest, radio is, they hear you, they don't see you.
Right.
But clearly over 37 years, all the banquets and golf tournaments and things I've emceed, I've come in contact with a lot of people and built a lot of good relationships, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't want to see me.
So when we come back, and by the way, this is going to be surreal because I get to listen to the hometown view.
I'm so excited about this.
Here. So when we come back, though, we learn a little more. Plus, I give you the Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin Magic Wand, which I know for the last 7 months you've been considering what you would do with it. Yeah. So Kevin Williams, listen to him now, right, because he's with us, and then listen to the hometown view. Then you got a couple minutes where you got to get through the news, and then you get more Kevin Williams. I mean, it's wall-to-wall Kevin Williams this morning. Back, Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin after this.
The news is next. Live from the WOBM Newsroom, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center, overlooking the Toms River. It's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Welcome back. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Oh, hold on one second. Kevin! Hey! Oh, yes, he's outside. I'm just grabbing him because he was actually looking for Pokemon.
Oh, here I am.
Oh, good. Did you get any new ones, or are they all duplicates?
They're all unemployed. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, it is. I'll tell you what. I had a Tara Cunningham who works with me, took a picture of downtown Toms River, I think, on Saturday night. It was more packed on Saturday night than I've ever seen it when we had the Seward Johnson sculptures. I mean, it was crazy.
It is crazy. It's
crazy.
Amazing.
All right, but as crazy is, so what I love about you is you're like a quote-unquote sports guy, right? But you have clearly you have some political opinions, right?
Well, I did do the morning show on the other WOBM for many years when you were still growing up.
Yes.
Not quite in diapers. So I'd like to think like I'm a little fairly well versed, and I follow current affairs and I watch the news and stuff like that, and I like to read.
Sure. So your feeling on Donald Trump. I mean, it's such a lightning rod issue, but just the Reader's Digest version, if that's possible.
It's got to be the most interesting political figure of our lifetime in some ways.
Right.
I mean, 30 or 40 years ago, this could never have happened, right? I want to like him. I want to.
Yeah.
He just says so many things that just push you in the other direction. Right. He clearly is the right person for the time in which I say his supporters are people who've just decided the establishment has got to go. I don't care who it is. Donald Trump could be you. Donald Trump could be me. I think people are just looking for something, and I understand that. How can you not understand?
Yeah.
People are so fed up of the way the two-party system has worked or hasn't worked. So I think he's like the alternative. And, you and I had an interesting conversation off the air, and I couldn't agree with you more. The dumber he does things, it doesn't hurt him. Like it should kill him, some of the things he says. He's almost like Teflon. But I think he's interesting. I probably will not make a decision on who I vote for until the day I go to the polls. I will vote. I will likely vote. I'm on the fence. I can be swayed. Things can happen. I know who I would not vote for under any circumstances, and that's, my opinion. But Trump is absolutely amazing. He can say something this week that will move him up 5% in the polls, or he could easily say something that will move him down 5%.
Yeah. I'll tell you, this is, to me, the issue, the bigger issue, because Donald Trump, Bernie Sanders, it doesn't matter to me. I think you're 100% right. It didn't matter who the person was. It was the person who was not the establishment.
Exactly.
And here's the problem, right? And the statistic that I think sums it up the best in general of where we are as a country is that at currently 47% of Americans would have trouble coming up with a $400 emergency bill. So if they had a $400 problem, right, something that was unforeseen and unbudgeted for, they would have to probably go into debt to pay it off. They would have to reach into the credit card to pay it off, right? And we know where that ends up.
It's staggering.
So that's when you look at half of the wealthiest country in the world that really isn't in a position to deal. Then how can you sit there and then you look at folks who have, and listen, I'll raise my hand, I get it, right? And you look at people that have, and you look at our politicians, and you look at what they quibble about and what they deal with. You have to say something's got to change, right? So that's the biggest problem that I see. And look, I think it's ironic that a guy like Donald Trump, who frankly would have spit on most people a year ago, right, is the guy that we're all looking at and saying, oh, he's the one who's going to fix the fact that 50% of people are living like that.
I do know one thing, okay? If his wife would put on that hybrid thong that I mentioned in the Hometown View, I'll vote for him. Okay? That's said and done.
You know what? I think on that note, we're going to head over to the Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin magic. Oh, wait. Maybe we shouldn't call it a magic wand now. Maybe we should call it the pixie dust, the fairy dust. Maybe we should just let you wiggle your nose, Tabitha, a Bewitched style. But Kevin, if you could do something in the world and make an impact, and you've made an impact on so many people already, but if you could do something super special, what would it be? You
know what? I listen to you do this every day.
Yep.
And I'm fascinated by the responses. And I seriously say to you, every time I listen, I say, I don't know what I would tell him. I don't know what I would tell him. Because it can't be self-serving.
Right.
You don't mean it to be self-serving. No. And I think it's kind of a takeoff on what you're about and what your foundation is about. Like, what can you do? I don't know what I could do. I do know this. What really bothers me, let's talk about our own backyard. Toms River, Ocean County. Aesthetically, it's not pleasing.
Right.
I'm offended when I drive on roads and I look at businesses that have been closed for years and just sit there, and garbage and all that. And I think we've lost a sense of aesthetics. Even a lot of the schools are not as manicured and landscaped as they used to be. And those things bother me because I think it's like that first impression. You meet a girl at a bar. You don't know her personality, but the first impression is what her look is, or maybe she feels the same way to you.
Right.
And I feel like the first impression of a large part of Ocean County for someone coming here for the first time is not a good one anymore.
Right.
I think it's gotten worse. And I just wish there'd be a greater sense, starting with our leadership, but with people themselves, to clean up your frickin' yard.
Right.
Like, just make things look better. I think it just makes you feel better. I just don't like the way things look.
Let me tell you something. First of all, thank you for that open wound, and because I have no luck at a bar because there's nobody.
Well,
the first impression's a bad look for me.
Listen,
so,
my only shot was when the lights were still down at 2:30 in the morning, and you could go, here's the loser still left.
I agree with you, though. I'm going to say one thing. It's funny. I've been to so many of these economic development studies and surveys, and these, you get these folks in from outside of the area saying what we could do to make a difference, and they all talk about the same things. And the reality is, if we had an eraser, right, we would erase half of the way Ocean County is put together, and we would redraw it. Right,
Absolutely.
as a planner. Here's the problem, right? And this is the residual impact, right? So when we were the fastest growing county in the country, right, or the second fastest growing county in the country in the 80s, right? It started to be that things were kind of built in a haphazard way, right? We were just putting things anywhere to deal with the population. The best example of that's the hospital. If you look at the way Community Medical Center is laid out, it's clear that somebody was just putting more Legos on top of other Legos.
Exactly.
Right? And that's how Ocean County has kind of grown. And it's unfortunate. It's fortunate and unfortunate because we had that great boom, but now we find ourselves in an area that we really wish we could kind of turn back the clock and redo things. But that's a great point. Kevin, you know what? I don't usually do this, but can you hang out for one more segment with us?
I'd love to.
Cool. Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. Back after this.
Now, back to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310 and WOBMAM.com.
So we're talking to Kevin Williams, and I got to be honest, I could probably talk to Kevin all morning, all day, because we could just sit here and kind of maybe complain about some things, offer our own solutions, and then realize that it's just two guys talking and we could just go about the rest of our day. But why don't you tell folks, you mentioned all the hats you're wearing, all the things you're doing. So why don't you tell them where they could find you, what you got going on?
Well, until you say no, I still get to do the Hometown View here each weekday morning, although I'll go on vacation starting Thursday for a few days,
nice.
Which I love doing. I do some things with our other radio stations in our company. And then, of course, I mentioned earlier the Shore Sports Network, which is 95% devoted to high school sports in Ocean and Monmouth counties. We have a website, shoresportsnetwork.com. This a little bit of a quiet time, so we're doing some alternate things. We're covering lifeguard tournaments and things like that until the high school scene gets back. But every Friday night in the fall, we'll be doing high school football, the game of the week, right here on 1160 and 1310. We also do a Thursday night coaches show. I am involved with Monmouth University football to some extent. So really, I'm kind of all over. I follow you, and I do want to say this, and you'll be ticked off, but what you have brought to the table since January is truly amazing. We might be at different points in our lives and things like that, but I think we have a lot of similarities. And I know the one thing is that you're an incredibly charitable and philanthropic person, and you don't just say it, but you do it. But you've introduced businesses and organizations to this microphone that have had a chance to promote themselves, which is just great in this day of radio. And I look forward to listening to you every morning. And I'm being very serious. We're really lucky to have you. And I hope that I know your wife likes you out of the house, but I hope that you're able to maintain your enthusiasm despite the fact that sleep has now become secondary in your life.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And while we're on Mutual Admiration Society stuff, I always say to people, there are certain people in your life that when you see them, you smile. Right, because there's some people that you see and you're like, ugh, not that guy again, right? Or you were telling me a thong story before, but that's a whole separate issue, right? And then there are certain people that you see and they just kind of make you smile, and you're like, I'm glad they're there, and it makes you want to get up and go to work, or makes you want to get up and go to whatever event you're going to or whatever's on your plate. And Kevin, I will tell you, you are one of those people for me, and I look forward to when you pop your head in at like 5:15 in the morning and say, what do you got going on today? And I'm always like, I always hope I have someone on the show who you're interested in that you want to come say hello to. And I actually feel like I disappoint you if it's someone you're like, whatever. So and sometimes I'm like, yeah, it's going to be a yawner today. You're not going to like them. So, But you know what? Listen, really, you've done a great job. 37 years at the Jersey Shore. Thank you for all you've done, and you're an icon here. And if only I would tell you the Statue of Liberty wishes it could be like you. So
it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate doing this.
Cool. Kevin Williams, Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. We're going to be back after this.
Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin wherever you go. Download the Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310.